Long before you ever touch the controls of an A-10 Warthog, your life revolves around one mission, proving you deserve to fly for the United States Air Force. Most future A-10 pilots begin by earning a commission through the U.S. Air Force Academy, Air Force ROTC, or Officer Training School. They must then pass demanding medical examinations, including strict vision standards, and successfully complete initial flight training if required, before reporting to Undergraduate Pilot Training, commonly called UPT. From the outside, it might look like you're simply learning to fly. In reality, you're learning to make life-or-death decisions while operating under constant pressure. Your day often begins before sunrise, with weather briefings, mission planning, emergency procedure reviews, and hours of studying aircraft systems. Every flight is followed by an equally demanding debrief, where instructors examine every decision you made. Even a successful flight is dissected to find ways to improve. The training aircraft aren't A-10s. Student pilots typically progress through aircraft, such as the T-6 Texan II, before selected students continue into advanced training in the T-38 Talon, or, depending on assignment pipelines, other aircraft. Every maneuver is graded. Every radio call matters. Every checklist must become second nature. The competition is relentless. Student pilots aren't only trying to pass. They're competing for limited assignments to the aircraft they hope to fly. A strong performance can open the door to fighters like the A-10, while weaker results may lead to entirely different career paths. Talent helps, but discipline, preparation, and consistency often determine who earns a coveted fighter slot. Outside the cockpit, free time is scarce. Evenings are filled with memorizing procedures, practicing emergency responses, and preparing for the next day's missions. Many students discover that the mental workload is far more exhausting than the flying itself. Family events, weekends, and vacations often take a back seat as training becomes the center of daily life. What keeps them going is the goal waiting at the end, the chance to wear Air Force wings and eventually fly one of the military's most respected close air support aircraft. Many people assume every Air Force pilot can choose the aircraft they want to fly. In reality, aircraft assignments depend on multiple factors, including training performance, available aircraft slots, Air Force needs, and medical qualification. Even outstanding students may not receive their first choice. The next step is where the dream finally becomes reality. But earning an A-10 cockpit is only the beginning. Graduation from pilot training earns you Air Force wings, but it doesn't make you an A-10 combat pilot. That journey continues at the formal training unit, where you're introduced to the aircraft you've spent years hoping to fly. Your first encounter with the Warthog is unforgettable. Up close, it looks nothing like a sleek fighter. Its twin engines sit high above the fuselage, its landing gear appears almost oversized, and the massive 30mm A Avenger cannon dominates the nose. Everything about the aircraft is built with one priority: surviving over the battlefield while protecting troops on the ground. Training quickly shifts from simply flying to mastering the A-10's unique mission. You'll learn low-level navigation, tactical formations, air-to-ground weapons employment, close air support procedures, combat search and rescue support, and coordination with Joint Terminal Attack Controllers, or JTACs, who guide aircraft onto targets from the ground. Every mission demands precise communication, because friendly forces may be operating only hundreds of meters away from the target. Once assigned to an operational squadron, you're no longer a student, but you're still the least experienced pilot in the formation. As a wingman, your primary responsibility isn't leading missions. It's supporting your flight lead, maintaining formation discipline, scanning constantly for threats, and executing assigned tasks exactly as briefed. Good wingmen make their leaders more effective. Great wingmen keep entire formations alive. A typical flying day begins well before takeoff. Hours are spent reviewing intelligence reports, weather, aircraft status, fuel calculations, weapons configurations, and contingency plans. The flight itself may last only a couple of hours, but the briefing and debrief often take even longer. Every radio transmission, attack run, and tactical decision is reviewed in detail. In this community, mistakes are treated as learning opportunities, but only if you're honest enough to admit them. The pressure is different from training. Now, your decisions contribute to real-world readiness. During deployments, missions may involve supporting ground forces, conducting armed overwatch, or participating in multinational exercises where precision and discipline matter just as much as combat skill. Life outside the cockpit also changes. Deployments can keep you away from home for months, and maintaining proficiency requires constant studying even when you're not flying. The learning curve never truly levels off. Every experienced pilot around you has stories of close calls and hard-earned lessons, reminding you how much there still is to master. Yet there's a unique sense of pride that comes with wearing the A-10 patch. Few pilots get the opportunity to fly an aircraft so closely associated with protecting soldiers and Marines on the ground. You begin to understand that the Warthog's reputation wasn't built by the airplane alone. It was built by disciplined crews who earned that trust one mission at a time. Many people believe an A-10 Wingman spends every flight firing the famous JAW-8 cannon. In reality, many sorties focus on training, reconnaissance, coordination, or deterrence, and operational missions may end without a single weapon being released. The mission is to achieve the objective, not simply to employ firepower. Your next promotion won't just make you a better pilot. It will make other pilots depend on your decisions. Your career stops being measured by how well you follow orders. It's now measured by how well others can follow you. Becoming an A-10 flight lead isn't automatic. After accumulating significant flight hours, demonstrating consistently strong judgment, and completing specialized upgrade training, you're certified to lead formations of 2 or more aircraft. It's one of the biggest milestones in a Warthog pilot's career because, from this moment on, the success of the mission depends largely on your decisions. Before a mission even begins, you're already carrying responsibilities your wingmen don't see. You study intelligence reports, identify potential threats, analyze weather, review friendly troop locations, coordinate with mission planners, and build contingency plans for emergencies. Every route, radio frequency, fuel calculation, and attack sequence is carefully planned long before the engines start. Once airborne, the pace intensifies. While maintaining control of your own aircraft, you're also tracking your wingman, monitoring multiple radios, watching fuel states, assessing enemy activity, coordinating with airborne controllers, and communicating with joint terminal attack controllers on the ground. If a situation changes unexpectedly, as it often does, you may have only seconds to revise the plan while keeping the entire formation synchronized. The A-10's mission demands exceptional precision. Close air support isn't about destroying the most targets, it's about striking the right target at exactly the right moment, while friendly troops may be operating dangerously close. A poor decision could endanger the very people you're there to protect. That responsibility weighs heavily on every experienced flight lead. The role also transforms your relationship with younger pilots. You're no longer just flying missions. You're mentoring less experienced wingmen. After every sortie, you conduct detailed debriefings where every mistake, whether yours or theirs, is openly discussed. These sessions can be brutally honest, but they're designed to build trust and improve performance rather than assign blame. In military aviation, humility is considered a strength because every lesson learned today may prevent an accident tomorrow. Outside of flying, your workload expands dramatically. You'll spend increasing amounts of time writing mission plans, reviewing tactics, participating in large-scale exercises, and helping prepare your squadron for inspections or deployments. Leadership begins long before you receive a formal command position. The emotional burden grows as well. Earlier in your career, you mainly worried about your own performance. Now you're responsible for bringing everyone home safely. When your wingman succeeds, you share the credit. When something goes wrong, the responsibility often starts with you. Despite the pressure, this is also where many A-10 pilots discover the most rewarding part of the profession. Leading a well-trained formation through a demanding mission, watching every pilot perform flawlessly, and knowing your team accomplished its objective together, creates a level of satisfaction that simply can't be achieved alone. Movies often portray formation leaders as making split-second decisions entirely on instinct. In reality, effective flight leads rely on extensive planning, standardized procedures, disciplined communication, and teamwork. The best leaders aren't reckless. They're exceptionally prepared. Soon, your focus will shift from leading missions to shaping the pilots who will someday replace you. You've proven you can lead combat missions. Now the Air Force entrusts you with something even more valuable. Its future pilots. Becoming an Instructor Pilot, or IP, is one of the highest marks of confidence an A-10 aviator can receive. It isn't awarded simply because you've logged more flight hours. It's earned by consistently demonstrating exceptional flying skills, sound judgment, professionalism, and the ability to teach under pressure. The Air Force invests enormous resources into training each pilot, and an instructor helps ensure that investment pays off for years to come. Your days begin less with preparing yourself and more with preparing others. Before sunrise, you're reviewing lesson objectives, analyzing weather, studying training scenarios, and identifying the specific skills each student or upgrading pilot needs to improve. Every sortie has a purpose. You're not just flying an aircraft. You're building competence one decision at a time. In the cockpit, your attention is divided in two. One part of your mind is flying the A-10 as safely and effectively as ever. The other is constantly evaluating the pilot beside you. Are they scanning for threats? Did they notice that radio call? Was their weapons employment within acceptable standards? Could they have made a better tactical decision? Sometimes the best teaching happens by allowing a small, controlled mistake to develop. Far enough for the student to recognize it, but never so far that safety is compromised. Knowing exactly when to intervene is a skill that takes years to master. The learning doesn't stop after landing. In fact, many instructors believe the debrief is where the real training begins. Using flight recordings, notes, and observations, you walk through the mission minute by minute. Every strength is reinforced. Every weakness is examined. The goal isn't perfection. It's continuous improvement beyond flying. Instructor pilots help refine squadron tactics, update training materials, standardize procedures, and prepare units for major exercises and deployments. Their influence reaches pilots they've never even flown with. Because the standards they help establish shape the entire squadron, the responsibility can be emotionally demanding. If a pilot you trained later excels on deployment, there's quiet satisfaction in knowing you helped prepare them. But if someone struggles, instructors often replay every lesson in their minds, wondering if they could have explained something better or spotted a weakness sooner. Family life can remain challenging. While experience brings greater confidence, the administrative workload grows. Mission planning, simulator sessions, classroom instruction, and lengthy debriefings often stretch well beyond normal flying hours. Leadership is no longer confined to the cockpit. Yet there's a unique pride in watching a former student eventually become a flight lead themselves. It's a reminder that the legacy of an instructor pilot isn't measured by personal achievements alone, but by the success of the next generation. People often assume instructors are simply the oldest or most senior pilots. In reality, instructor pilot qualification is based on demonstrated expertise, instructional ability, and successful completion of a formal upgrade process. Seniority alone isn't enough. The next step isn't about teaching pilots how to fly. It's about deciding whether they're truly ready for the missions that matter most. By now, you've spent years flying the A-10, leading combat formations, and teaching others. But becoming an evaluator pilot changes your role once again. You're no longer there primarily to train pilots. You determine whether they meet the Air Force's standards. It's a position built on credibility. Before earning this qualification, you've already established a reputation for exceptional judgment, tactical knowledge, and unwavering professionalism. Every evaluation you conduct can influence a pilot's career, so your own integrity must be beyond question. An evaluation flight feels very different from a normal training sortie. The pilot being evaluated knows every maneuver, radio call, and tactical decision is being scrutinized. They aren't expected to be perfect, but they are expected to demonstrate that they can safely and effectively accomplish the mission under pressure. As the evaluator, you observe everything, from checklist discipline and formation procedures to threat reactions, weapons employment, fuel management, and decision-making when plans inevitably change. The standard never changes because of rank or experience. Whether you're evaluating a relatively new flight lead or another instructor upgrading to a higher qualification, everyone is measured against the same published criteria. That's one reason evaluator pilots are so respected throughout the squadron. They protect the consistency and professionalism of the entire force. The responsibility extends far beyond the cockpit. You'll review qualification records, recommend additional training when needed, participate in standardization meetings, and help ensure every pilot remains current on changing tactics, regulations, and operational procedures. As weapons, technology, and battlefield environments evolve, Training must evolve with them. Evaluator pilots play a key role in making sure those changes are implemented correctly. Emotionally, this can be one of the most difficult positions in the squadron. Sometimes you'll have to tell an outstanding, hardworking pilot that they didn't meet the required standard. Those conversations are never enjoyable, but lowering the bar isn't an option. In military aviation, overlooking a serious deficiency today could place an entire formation or friendly forces on the ground at risk tomorrow. Ironically, some of your greatest successes remain invisible. If every pilot in the squadron consistently performs at a high level, few people notice the countless hours spent maintaining those standards. But that's exactly the point. A well-trained unit prevents problems long before they appear in combat. By now, you're viewed as one of the squadron's technical authorities. Younger pilots seek your advice. Flight leads value your feedback. Commanders rely on your assessments when making decisions about readiness and future leadership. Your influence reaches nearly every mission, even when you're not the one leading it. It's easy to assume evaluator pilots exist to fail people. In reality, their purpose is to ensure every pilot can safely perform the mission. Most evaluations are designed to verify proficiency and identify areas for improvement, not to end careers. There's only one step left, and it takes you beyond leading aircraft to leading the people, culture, and future of the entire squadron. This is the position many officers dream about, but few ever reach. By the time you take command of an A-10 squadron, you've likely spent well over a decade building experience through operational flying, deployments, leadership assignments, and professional military education. You're still an A-10 pilot, but your primary responsibility is no longer flying the aircraft. It's leading the people who do. A squadron typically consists of dozens of officers, enlisted airmen, and civilian personnel working together to keep the mission running. Pilots may be the public face of the unit, but they rely on maintainers, weapons specialists, intelligence analysts, air traffic professionals, logistics experts, and countless others. As Squadron Commander, you're responsible for all of them. Your day rarely follows a predictable schedule. 1 hour, you're reviewing flight operations and aircraft readiness. The next, you're discussing maintenance issues that could affect tomorrow's sorties. Later, you might meet with senior leaders to prepare for an upcoming deployment, approve training plans, review budgets, address disciplinary matters, or support an airman facing a personal crisis. Every decision has ripple effects across the squadron. Flying becomes less frequent than earlier in your career, but staying qualified remains important whenever operational requirements allow. When you do climb back into the cockpit, your pilots aren't just watching your flying skills. They're watching your leadership. The example you set matters as much on the ground as it does in the air. The hardest part of command isn't tactical, it's people. You'll celebrate promotions, welcome new families, recognize outstanding performance, and watch young wingmen grow into confident flight leads. But you'll also make difficult decisions involving accountability, career setbacks, and sometimes the emotional strain that comes with repeated deployments. The well-being of your squadron becomes a personal responsibility. The pressure extends beyond your own unit. Higher headquarters expects your squadron to remain combat ready, meet training requirements, maintain safety standards, and be prepared to deploy whenever called. You must balance mission accomplishment with the long-term health of your people. A challenge with no simple formula. At home, command often demands sacrifices from the entire family. Evening phone calls, unexpected emergencies, weekend responsibilities, and deployment planning can interrupt even the best-laid personal plans. Behind every successful commander is usually a support system that has accepted years of uncertainty. Yet, there are moments that make every sacrifice worthwhile. Watching an aircraft launch on a mission after months of preparation. Seeing a former student become an instructor. Knowing that the culture you've built encourages honesty, discipline, and teamwork. These achievements don't appear on a flight log, but they define your legacy far more than any individual sortie ever could. Eventually, most squadron commanders move on to broader leadership roles within the Air Force, while others retire after distinguished careers. Regardless of where they go next, they leave behind something far more valuable than a title, a squadron shaped by their decisions, their standards, and their example. Many people imagine squadron commanders spend most of their time flying combat missions. In reality, command is primarily a leadership role. Success is measured less by personal flight hours and more by the readiness, safety, discipline, and effectiveness of the entire squadron. The cockpit may have started your journey, but leadership is what ultimately defines your career. The journey to becoming an A-10 Warthog Squadron Commander isn't a straight climb. It's a gradual transformation. At the beginning, success means mastering your own aircraft. Every checklist, every radio call, and every landing is about proving that you belong in one of the world's most demanding professions. As a wingman, you learn that trust is earned through discipline. As a flight lead, you discover that leadership means accepting responsibility for decisions that affect everyone in your formation. As an instructor pilot, your knowledge becomes someone else's foundation. As an evaluator pilot, your judgment protects standards that could one day save lives. And by the time you become a squadron commander, your greatest responsibility is no longer flying the mission yourself. It's ensuring hundreds of people are prepared to accomplish it together. That's the hidden reality of an A-10 pilot's career. The higher you climb, the less your success is measured by your own performance, and the more it depends on the people around you. Every promotion brings greater authority, but it also brings greater accountability. Every new opportunity demands another sacrifice of time, comfort, and often family life. The A-10 itself has become an icon of American air power. Designed during the Cold War and proven in conflicts from Operation Desert Storm to more recent operations in the Middle East, the Warthog earned its reputation not because it was the fastest aircraft in the sky, but because it consistently delivered when troops on the ground needed it most. Behind every one of those missions stood a team of dedicated airmen and a pilot whose journey began exactly where every career begins. As a student with a dream, a checklist, and countless hours of hard work still ahead, whether the future of close air support evolves with new aircraft or emerging technologies, the qualities that define great military aviators remain unchanged. Discipline, humility, teamwork, sound judgment, and an unwavering commitment to the people depending on them. Those qualities, not rank alone, are what truly define the life of an A-10 Warthog pilot.